the next single is Jailbreak, which was a big song, a song that, in fact, Countdown did their first video ever with. What were you expecting at that stage, I mean, as far as chart success was concerned?
Well, I mean, in them days, I mean, it was also, I mean, for us, if anything, we done anything, we always thought it was luck.
Right.
You know? So, we were over the moon. You know?
You'd seen your brother, he'd had a huge hit with Friday on My Mind, and then they had sort of subsequent successes and then just sort of died away from the overseas scene. Were you looking at that stage for an overseas success or what?
Well, when we first started playing and everywhere, we always said we didn't want to, we wanted to be able to go and play in other countries.
Right.
And we were very lucky that we got the chance to go through, I think Weir in Britain signed us, so we were very lucky not to even have to have gone from here to be signed. And then when we went there, they got, you know, they helped us by getting us on tours and us doing gigs in clubs and stuff. That helped break it for us there, and then from there, the next step was going to America. Yeah.
Right, now, before we get on to the overseas side of it, how hard was it in this country to have to do sort of night after night? I mean, which you did, you know? Performance after performance, you know?
Well, it was pretty easy. You had to. I mean, you had to be in some cases, you had to get, I think, the money and stuff to live, you know?
Right.
And at the time, I mean, there was not much money. I don't know how it is now, but I know at that time there was not. You know, so you were working for small money and trying to get big rewards. And,
right.
But we knew that we would have to leave here and go play somewhere else to actually earn or be successful at what you're doing.
A Long Way to the Top, a great song, still an anthem to most rock bands. And yet it was one of your, or it was your third single.
Yeah.
Where did you get those sort of lyrics from? Was it your brother, looking at your brother, or Alex, or what?
Well, it was really a combination. Bond came in, and he had a whole stack of words. We had the music more or less together. And George looked, you know, George said, give us a look and see what you got, Bond, you know. And Bond showed him all this, and George just went, hey, Bond, that's one of the best lines I've seen in a rock and roll song. And Bond said, you like it? He said, yeah. And goes, well, here's a few more pages to go along with it, you know. So it sprung from that, you know. And then they worked on it, and that's how it came about with it.
It was a song you enjoyed doing?
Yeah, well, I've enjoyed doing them all.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a song that's still in your repertoire too, right?
Yeah, we do, well, a lot of old songs.
Yeah. How are you and Malcolm and the rest of the band coping at that stage?
For us, it was never a big pressure, you know, because, I mean, we can only be ourselves, you know.
Right.
And so there was never any real, we never, up until that time, actually, for us it was still all fun, you know. And that's what it really was, you know. We just liked to keep it fun. We didn't want to be stuck down or bogged down with it all.
Yes, but I mean, you're getting people like myself sort of demanding your time, asking you to compare Countdown.
Yeah.
I mean, did you enjoy that period in your time, or was it a hassle?
Nah, I didn't mind it, you know. I mean, but you can only, it just depends on how you look at it. I mean, you can say some things you've done in the past were stupid, and then you can say other things were great, you know. Right. I mean, there's some stupid things we've done too, you know. I mean, gone across the Nullarbor Plain in the back of a truck, you know, covered in red dust, you know, sort of like lying there, waking up in Perth and then getting kicked on stage, you know. So, I mean, there's things like that you can look back and say, well, that was stupid. You know, why did you do that for? You know, and then at other things, you can say that was great.
Now, a strange thing is...
I mean, put it this way, I wouldn't change it, and I would do it all again.
You're known these days as a heavy metal group, which I find absurd, you know. How do you find it when they classify you as a certain type of group?
Well, it's a bit silly, really. I mean, because we've never come out and said we are a heavy metal group.
Right.
We just, for us, it's just the same as what it always was since 1955, or it's rock and roll music. No
Right.
more, no less. You know, maybe it's a bit louder, but apart from that, it's no different. Mm.
Okay, you released a couple more singles, and then Highway to Hell, which, funny enough, you've had to live with, I think, in certain areas since, you know. Highway to Hell, where'd that song spring from?
Well, that's, I think we had just come from here. We'd done, we were working on material here, and then we went to America, and we were starting to work with a new producer, Mutt Langer. Yeah. And we were rehearsing before we'd even gone near Mutt Langer, and me and Malcolm more or less were in there one day bashing away, and I came up with the idea for that song. Highway to Hell. Yeah. I think it's a great song.
Right. On New Year's Eve, when they were threatening to pull the plug out, and they did in the middle of your performance, and you just kept playing on, you know, to the point that it ended up sort of some guy carrying Bon on his shoulders, just playing the bagpipes, and you were still singing. Did you enjoy those times?
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't, that sort of stuff you couldn't, if you told somebody about them, they wouldn't believe it.
No, I didn't believe it at the time.
Yeah. And, I mean, we've had a few of those. I mean, it's a pity we didn't have, you know, like camera crews and things to record these things, you know. But that's, you know, they're like, things that, it isn't, I think for us, it's, you know, I think other people wouldn't have, you know, they would all been all heartbroken about it, but for us, I mean, it only added to the adventure.
Right.
So,
okay, so you go to England.
with the bloke's pulled on his mini more.
The place pulled on you, and you're going through a change in English music because you're suddenly finding the punk era happening. With the Sex Pistols breaking out. How did you approach music at that stage? I mean, when you're looking, you go to England and you say, right, this is the way the English are thinking at the time, you know?
Well,
the Easy Beats certainly did this, you know?
I think well, for what we were, when we arrived there, they were already getting into this punk stuff, and so for us it was we were lucky in the respect that I think people who come and saw us, you know, for them it was something different. They didn't have really much, except I mean, they were still lacking a lot. You know, they didn't have their, I mean, I don't even think they had the Sex Pistols happening up until,
It hadn't broken.
Yeah, later on.
Yeah.
You know. So for us it was pretty good, you know. But as I say, we always steered away from somebody calling us punks or whatever. We never sort of glowed under any banner. You know, we always kept away from all those things because we always believed that once people you start giving yourself a tag like, you know, punk, it's a bit shallow, you know.
Well, I mean, you had great support from one magazine called Sounds, who gave you great support.
Yeah.
Whereas usual, I mean, like NME and Melody Maker would almost slag anyone.
Yeah, well.
The other thing...
I like that too.
is where you reopened, which has been an era of the past, the Marquee. Whose idea was it for you to play at the Marquee?
Oh, it was actually the guy himself who run the place heard about us, and they, at the time, you know, they were trying to get their old glory back again,
right.
You know, so they asked us to come down and play, and the guy saw us and saw the reaction and everything, and he just kept putting us on, you know, and it only took a little while, and suddenly it got bigger and bigger and bigger. I think at that time, though, you know, they were already, because in the papers, the media was all saying punk stuff. It was all the stuff that's going to be happening. And then you had us, on the other hand, who was playing in, because after the Marquee, we started to do bigger shows and it got bigger, till we could eventually start